Okay, so let's go ahead and start with introduction of our guests. So, recording the session. Good afternoon. My name is Rubat Mafu. I'm the director of the Bunting Neighborhood Leadership Program and associate director at Urban Health Institute. It's a pleasure to see many of you here interested in BNLP application. The Bunting Neighborhood Leadership Fellowship is an amazing fellowship established in 2016, where we started the planning process, and we welcomed our first cohort in 2017. So you have representatives here from our various cohorts that have engaged with us over the years, and you will have an opportunity to hear from them. So the application went online. Please make sure you look through it very carefully. Do not procrastinate thinking that, oh, it's a simple application, because once you get started, people realize that they had underestimated and they're rushing to submit the application the day off. So our suggestion is to work on it, print it, work on it, and then go online and complete your application. If you have any questions, you can always contact us. There's email address, and there's also phone call that you can make for any clarifications. So this information session is really designed to share with you the perspectives from BNLP fellows that have graduated, and they will share really their true, honest experience with BNLP, the good and the bad, and they're here to answer your questions. So please, you can start putting questions right now on the chat, and we will monitor the chat. If you've already reviewed the application and have questions, we will have a facilitated panel discussion, and then we will leave time later on after that we close the panel discussion for Q&A. The application, the fellowship is an intensive fellowship. We just want to make sure that you're very clear about that. And we will be meeting every other week for a full day of training, fabulous training by amazing instructors that are academicians, but also practitioners in the community, businesses, and community leaders. So we start the sessions in February, mid-February. We have all the calendar already developed for the year, and we will be posting it in a couple of weeks. And so you can check and you can really see if this is something that's going to work for you and work for your calendar and for your schedule, in terms of whether whether you're working or for others and employed, or whether you're employed yourself in the business that you operate. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our fabulous moderator for the panel, Daryl Perry. Glad you put it in there, BNLP 2021. So I will not forget it's 2021. And I think Justin is 2019. And Brother Nance, I think, is 2019. Elise is 2017. I hope I got it all right. So Daryl, turning things over to you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, and welcome again, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on what looks like a very beautiful Saturday afternoon. And let's get right into it. So we are here for our BNLP panel information session. So we do have a couple of panelists here who are BNLP past fellows. So we'll introduce ourselves and let the entire BNLP team introduce themselves as well. So in our introductions, you'll hear our names, our cohort years, our occupation, what we're doing now. I'll get us started. My name is Daryl Perry. I'm a Bunting Fellow from 2021. I am a community school facilitator for Baltimore County Public Schools, previously Baltimore City Public Schools.
I can hop in next. Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Preston. I was a 2017 Bunting Fellow, and I am the founder of an organization called Be More Connected, and I do coaching and community building for leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs.
Hey, everyone. This is Justin Brown. I hope my audio is good, but I'm Justin Brown. I'm from cohort 2018. Currently, I work for Bond Secure Community Works, as a community school coordinator for Frederick Elementary. And I'm also the founder of Fresh Academy, which is an independent nonprofit youth development program for young men of color to offer social and emotional support during the school day. And I am so happy to be here with you guys.
I am not a panelist, but just want to quick introduce myself. I did also put my email in the chat box. My name is Lydia Hickey. I am the BNLP program administrator. So any application questions or submission questions, anything like that, operational wise, reach out to me directly and I'm happy to help you. Glad to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, team. So as Repka mentioned earlier, we have a few questions that we're going to ask our panelists and do some reflection on to provide some direct firsthand insight to our prospective applicants. But before we do that, we're going to start with an icebreaker. And for the purpose of the icebreaker, while the panelists will answer, we definitely encourage all guests to put your thoughts in the chat box as well, along with any questions that you might have, because there will be a Q&A part on the back end when we wrap up the initial set of questions. So for our icebreaker, we started this year out thinking about what our theme was going to be for 2023. So now going into the last quarter of 2023, we want to think about what our theme is to close out the year. So I'll get us started. I know last time we did the panel session, I said my theme to close out the year was finish, that idea finish. Like at the beginning of the year, we start off with so much momentum and that carries us, through the first 6 months or whatnot. And, sometimes we get complacent, sometimes we get stagnant. I'll say today, what's been weighing very heavily on me lately is the concept of gratitude. Just being grateful for the journey, where we are, where we've come from. And I think that actually aids in support of us closing out very strong as well. So that's my personal theme right now, gratitude. And I'll pass it to Justin. I see him on my screen right now.
Okay, cool. All right. I saw that question and I was like, what is the theme? And what resonates with me is to stick to the script. Stick to the script. I set out to accomplish some goals personally and professionally. And, of course, when you're working on your own thing, people try to pull you in to help you to have help with their thing. And, and I don't mind helping, but when you start to deviate from your own plans or, get off track or off rail with your own ambitions, I don't want to ever lose sight of what I'm working on. So one of my mentors from whiles back, he gave me an acronym for FOCUS, which is follow one course until successful. So I'm staying focused. I'm going to follow my one course until I'm successful, and that's how I'm going to close out 2023. Thank you.
And the theme that's coming up for me right now is grounding. Personally and professionally, because my fiance and I are actually in the process of moving right now. We have a December 1st move out, and that just takes a lot of time and energy. And I've also been in the flow of launching some new offerings and being out and about at in-person events and connecting, and there's just been a lot of outward facing energy. And so now at this end of the year, I'm like, all right, let's turn inward. Let's get settled in this new home. Let's onboard these new, community members and kind of dig in and get to work. So that's what's up for me.
Thank you both for that. And once again, please, in the chat box, let us know what your themes are to close out 2023. And we'll get into the first question for our panelists. Why Bunting? What led you to BNLP and how did you learn about it? And also to our guests, again, please feel free to add that to the chat. We heard many people were referred to us. Let us know why Bunting, what led you to BNLP? Elise?
Yes. So back in 2017, when I first applied to Bunting, I actually received an email from the nonprofit organization that I was working at helping to spread the word about this opportunity. And I was working as a program manager of a community center in central Baltimore. And I had a role where I didn't actually feel super prepared for. So I came in and kind of thought that I was going to be doing one thing and then ended up wearing many, many different hats. and was looking for some support with expanding my leadership capacity, also being able to connect with other folks who were doing really important things in Baltimore to be able to bring and leverage more resources for the community center that I was working within. And also just to really learn more about things like advocacy and organizing, because the community center where I worked, we had, some programs that were underfunded, under-resourced, and I was just curious about how I could be able to leverage some different kinds of, opportunities for funding and resources and support for the things that we wanted to expand and grow. So where I learned about it was really, through the nonprofit network. Someone just passed on an email to me. And once I actually read through the description of the program, I was like, oh, okay, this feels very aligned with what I've been kind of like randomly trying to seek out and piece together on my own. It seemed like a great opportunity to be able to have a lot of like more structured support and guidance.
Gotcha. Yeah, there were actually a few things you just said that really resonated with me as well. That latter piece about the structured support and guidance, leveraging resources and networking. For myself, being a 2018 Morgan State graduate, I was fortunate to come across past fellows of Shaw State and Rudy, in my time there in college, and just seeing them being able to leverage, what they were doing on the ground in the community. That was something that I could aspire after. Me coming from a business, a marketing background, but still kind of doing my own thing as far as community initiatives, seemingly in isolation at the time, becoming exposed to a professional opportunity that would allow me to grow personally, professionally, and intentionally as far as what it pertains to what I was doing on the ground with community organizing. It was just an eye opener. It was an amazing opportunity that I sought after. I'll let everyone know now, and I love to really bring this to light. I consider myself, I don't consider myself, I am a two-time Bunting applicant. So that's something else to keep in mind. Timing is everything. So the first time I applied, it didn't work out, but, I didn't hang my head. I just continued to persevere and, do everything that I was doing as is. And I came back a couple of years later and I was able to apply again and be, considered for the upcoming cohort. So always stay true to yourself, your path, your journey. Just a plug of some uplift there. Justin, what led you to BNLP?
What led me to BNLP? In 2018, I don't know. I feel like I was looking for my next challenge. You know how not saying I was bored with work per se, but I was like, I can add one more thing to my plate. So one of my my mentors at the time, Mr. Selwyn Ray, he introduced me to the Big Brothers Big Sisters ambassador circle years back. And so whenever opportunities would come through the pipeline, he would always pass me the ball. He would say, "Hey, apply for this, apply for that." So he sent me this this Bunting link or something, and I read it, and I was like, "Okay, wow, this is my next challenge." So so what the opportunities I've seen in that was professional development, to tighten up on my own professional skills, my social skills, as well as just getting connected with other professionals who are looking to expand in their own networks. So that was a great opportunity there. And not only that, like just the fellowship of it, just meeting Larry, meeting Jonathan, meeting Rudy and Rashad and Kelsey and Charlie. Like it was a true fellowship where we went through this journey together. Like we learn from each other, we build with each other. Even to this day, I go to Rashad's son's birthday parties. You know what I'm saying? I meet with Larry from time to time. He helps me with some of my community school coordinator projects and things like that. So it's beyond a friendship. It's beyond a fellowship. This is like these are my fam. This is my fam now. So that's what really attracted and kept me with the fellowship.
Appreciate that insight. And always find it interesting from conversations with other BNLP fellows. You'll often hear us name dropping other fellows. And I think that really just speaks to the impact that we all have in each other's journeys, whether it pertains exclusively to BNLP or in our own community endeavors, throughout Baltimore. Okay, moving on to our next question. How has the Bunting experience helped push your own or your organization's mission forward? How has it benefited and impacted you?
I can hop in. So I think that the experience that I had in Bunting really helped me to expand my view of what was possible for me and helped me to ask myself a lot of deeper questions about what I value, what I really care about, um, helped me to really see myself as more of a leader and really develop confidence in new ways because yeah, my role that I was in 2017 was really the first full-time gig that I had. And so I was very much still exploring and figuring out exactly what kind of work I wanted to be doing in community. And I also didn't necessarily feel like what I was doing was completely a match for the kind of role that I wanted to have. Um, and so being able to be plugged in with the Bunting Fellowship for, a full year where every day, or not, sorry, not every day, every week on Fridays, I knew from 9 to 5, I was going to be able to be like, poured into by different different mentors, different leaders, different folks who had their own experiences, and also be challenged to explore, yeah, what really matters to me, what really makes me angry, what am I uniquely really gifted at and really good at being able to share and offer others. Um, it supported me with able to have more of the courage to go in an entrepreneurial direction, which I feel like I likely would not have done until much later. I feel like it helped me to kind of accelerate my journey and my path in terms of making some big pivots and making some different kinds of decisions. Um, yeah, in particular, like as I'm talking about this and just kind of thinking back to that time, I'm remembering like really pivotal conversations that I had with one of my mentors in the program, Bishop Miles, and even some of the fellows that were in the program with me, where it's not until someone like asks you a question directly or you have that vulnerable opportunity to like really chat with people, that sometimes we get to unplug from just the hustle, the pace and the speed of like our everyday rhythm and rituals in life, that we can actually start to make these different kinds of decisions and like connect new dots in powerful ways. So I think that that's, to me, what stands out as being most impactful in terms of what Bunting like gave me and what it taught me. And then even after I've graduated, so it's been about 6 years now since I was a fellow, but now I get to also continue to stay connected to the program and am, serving in a role where I'm helping to plan our quarterly networking events and support with building mentorship relationships um, within the Bunting community. And it's been really great to be able to continue to expand upon those relationships and support each other's businesses and events, and even just sharing different ideas and resources with one another. Because doing community-based work, like doing change-making work, is not for the faint of heart. And so finding those people that you really trust, that you appreciate their feedback and their perspective, finding those different ways that you can be, a resource to each other is everything, I think.
Awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned the post experience of Bunting. The 1 year cohort experience is amazing. And I've told people this a lot, but really the sustainability of BNLP as far as the connections, the resources of being able to support your fellow cohort members or fellows from other cohorts as well. I find that truly amazing, truly enriching as well. And me being born and raised in Baltimore, when I think about this question, how did I benefit from Bunting? Like coming into the program, I thought there was nothing about Baltimore that you could tell me that I didn't already know. I was completely wrong because Bunting really, provided that context behind why this is or why this isn't. So I was able to see things from an alternative lens and it really brought things into perspective for me. So I will say for those who are joining us today, this opportunity is really going to amplify the tools that you already have. It's really going to help cultivate that. I know for myself personally, it was certain intangibles like time management, how to navigate certain situations, how to deal with healthy conflict. Because in full transparency, we're all community leaders. We might have difference of opinions, but still respecting others' opinions and pushing forward cohesively. Justin.
Wow. You guys said a lot. I'll do my best to fill in the spaces. I feel as though Bunting benefited me personally because it really fine-tuned on me using my authentic voice. Sometimes when we go in certain spaces, it could be intimidating. It could be like, when you think of Johns Hopkins, oh my gosh, Johns Hopkins. But, at the end of the day, like Johns Hopkins' name isn't better than my name, and I want to go into spaces confident and prepared and, and really feel good about what I'm delivering. And I feel as though that Bunting really helped me tighten up and sharpen my own authentic voice in all spaces, personally and professionally. Another thing that I've gained from Bunting is, I'm gonna keep singing, Bishop Miles' praises. He taught me about the 3 A's, which are, the 3 A's of a leader, and the leaders are accountable. They are accessible and they know how to agitate in an environment. So accountable, what does that mean? That means that you are accountable, you are responsible. People can depend on you. You are doing your job. Accessible, win, lose, or draw. You are accessible. Something is going in your favor. Okay, you're accessible. Something that needs your attention, but there's a problem or a fire to put out. You are accessible. Those are qualities of a leader. And of course, around agitating an environment, what I gain from that is if there's an issue, you know how to campaign around that issue, gather votes, gather signatures, gather awareness around the issue in order to bring some resolve to an issue. So I think that was really, really powerful from Bishop Miles. Another thing I've gained from Bunting is that as I was getting into this nonprofit space, I wasn't sure what all the jargon was and how do you even articulate what you're trying to do. So Bishop Miles, he even sat me down one day. He was just like, okay, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? And it was really hard to communicate what I was trying to do. He said, no, listen, sir, you have an independent nonprofit youth development program that works with middle school students to help improve their emotional and social support during the school day. And it took, like, before coming to Bunting, I couldn't get those words out. I couldn't articulate what I was like trying to do, but just working with him for a few weeks, he helped me craft those lines right there. And now I'm able to go in different spaces and communicate what I do in 2 or 3 sentences or less. So that was a big plus, as well as even connecting with like Sarah Wallace. She's a Bunting grad, helping me with like my documentation for my nonprofit and helping me get organized that way. point me in the right direction of like funding and opportunities and things like that, and helping me with my infrastructure for my nonprofit, even supporting with strategy and things like that. Another thing that Bunting has helped shape me with, that has helped benefit me with, as my role as community school coordinator at Frederick Elementary. You know, I manage a food pantry. I manage food giveaways and clothing giveaways. So community asset mapping is so important. You know, so if I have something I'm working on, having the ability to identify community-based organizations that are in my zip code, that are in my area, so I can help support the food pantry, or add supplies to it, and even knowing how to distribute it. Getting connected with connected with like churches, and getting connected with like Maryland Food Bank and things like that to help push the mission forward. And lastly, you don't have to be a graduate of Bunting to receive the benefits of Bunting. I've met Jarrell. He's currently taking the journey of Bunting right now, and I've met him. And I recall one time I had like so much food to give away, and I recall getting connected with Jarrell, and he owns his own nonprofit called For My Kids, and it just felt really good to be able to connect with another Bunting fellow to help them with their mission. So I loaded my truck up, dropped off, like at least 20 pounds of food, so he can help facilitate and help out the kids that he's helping at his program and things like that. Yeah. So hey, listen, Bunting is the gift that keeps on giving, and yeah, it's been an exceptional experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as you all who are listening can tell, there's so much that we can expand on, from our respective lenses. For the sake of time, we're going to move on to our final question, and we're going to limit it to just a few words from our panelists. So we have ample time on the back end to answer any Q&A questions that you all may have that have been put in the chat box, or you can come off of mute. So for our final question for our panelists, what advice or insight would you give someone who's interested in BNLP?
Yeah, so I would say that some things to keep in mind if you are, really resonating with what we're sharing about this experience, if you know you want to apply, is, and I know Rebecca made a little plug for this at the beginning, is in this phase that you're in now, the application phase, allow yourself to have, lots of spaciousness and time with your application, because there are, some written responses, also a video response that's included. So making sure that you aren't, in crunch mode, like down to the wire, because this is a really amazing opportunity, and just, want to encourage folks to be able to take their time and revisit their responses and submit something that feels like a really great representation of you and your work and the impact that you want to have. And then, once transitioning from applicant mode to fellow mode, I think my advice is also kind of similar. It's like, how can you really carve out that time in your life and in your calendar to make sure that you can be as present as possible in the weekly sessions, or actually in your cohort, it's going to be bi-weekly sessions, and also to be able to really make the most of the resources and mentorship and assignments, because everything that you're offered and everything that you're assigned within the Bunting Fellowship is really intentional, like hands-on things that you can apply to your life and your work right now. Like, you're not given a lot of fluff work or busy work or just random, assignments or things to do. It's things that are primarily designed to really support your development in the now. And so I think, as much as you can, exploring those ways to really leverage the time, leverage the experience, leverage the community and the network, in a way that it can be as supportive and expansive for you as possible.
Thank you, Elise. Justin?
My advice for someone who's interested in applying for BNLP is to do it. Just do it like Nike. Get started on it. Really do a deep dive into the questions on the application. Really pace it out. You got to pace it out. This ain't one of those exams you crank out 2 hours before the deadline. This ain't it. All right. Really look at those questions.
About that, boy. You're not lying.
I'm saying, right. Like, bro, this ain't I'm gonna knock this out real quick situation. Nah, that ain't it. So really pace that thing out. I would like to offer my email. If you need some help or some guidance or some structure on how you want to respond to your questions. Yeah, and like, I don't know, it's the perfect opportunity to get connected. Like, have you ever been in those spaces where, I don't know, like I mentioned, sometimes some spaces can seem intimidating, but Bunting is the perfect space where you can talk about those things. Like if you felt curved in the boardroom, if you felt like someone said something sideways to you professionally, or if you felt like, how do I address or how do I respond to certain things? Like, this is the space to get that help. I recall just like Larry being a big, great resource. Larry and Rashad, just giving me a heads up on how BCPS can be, the Baltimore City public system, sometimes they got a lot of stuff with them, but I feel like Larry and Rashad were very instrumental on giving me guidance on how to navigate through those BCPS spaces, and how to really get to get to my goals. So yeah, if you are interested in applying, I just strongly suggest that you get connected. Don't second guess yourself. What is for you will never pass you by. And good luck to you. Hope to see you on the other side.
Thank you both. And before we move into the Q&A portion of the session, just to kind of close this out with the advice piece, Justin actually mentioned something that I was going to speak to about the intimidation factor. I know sometimes we see these long applications and they have so many different components, and you kind of start questioning, hey, do I fit this criteria? Trust in yourself. I think someone put in the chat earlier, trust in your judgment, believe in yourself. Like, don't shortchange your abilities and your experiences. Like, don't tell yourself short. Trust in yourself, believe in yourself. So at this point, we're going to close out with the preset panel questions, and we're going to move into the Q&A piece of today. So I know we had some of the chat box. Lydia, are you able to kind of reference some of those for us? I'm not sure of the order.
I see Brother Nance.
Hands.
Yeah, I see Brother Nance has something to add. So I want to pass it over to him.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to piggyback off what everybody was saying. And I would just say, just be honest with yourself, you know what I mean? And, be truthful, you know what I mean? About like what you want to bring to the table. Because one thing I tried to do when I started my application, I was overthinking it and trying to write it because I was applying for Hopkins. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to realize that you're the asset. So write it in the space of you being an asset and not from a place of deficit. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. And I'm going to drop my email in there as well.
Thank you so much. Daryl, I think the questions you might be referring to, I was copying and dropping our panel questions in there just so folks could follow along. And we did have a lot of responses from our attendees here, but I haven't seen any questions. So if anyone wants to drop any questions into the chat box or come off of mute, we definitely want to hear from you.
Thanks, Lydia. Yeah, certainly. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourselves. And panelists, will keep it at one response per question just for the sake of time.
Hi, y'all. I had one question. Because my mommy brain does not remember. I had already filled out the application because I already was in the Bunting Fellowship. But I'm just continuing. Do I have to redo the application or no? I can just get the information, and when it's time to go, it's time to go.
So, Shayla, as I indicated in the letter I sent you, when we deferred your engagement in BNLP application, in BNLP, it was that with the expectation that you will review what are the rules and expectations for 2024 and abide by them. And so you will notice as you go, as you review the application, the schedules have changed where 2023 was weekly meeting to bi-weekly meeting, from half day to full day. And we also added a few things under rules and expectations. So that's what you would have to review, and you would have to sign agreeing to the new rules and expectations. So that's what's expected of you. And we may do like a brief interview with you, but there's no full application process for you to go through.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. And once again, this is now the Q&A portion of this afternoon's agenda. So please feel free to come off of mute. I see a question that was just added in the chat. How long is the program? How many are selected for each cohort? And is there a cost? So we got 3 and 1.
So,
and I can speak to, okay. You got it, Rebecca.
No, go ahead, Daryl.
Yep. So the program length, as Rebecca mentioned earlier, is projected to begin around mid-February. So the application process is now live. The application deadline is December the 4th, and the interview process for those considered for interviews will follow shortly after that. But the cohort itself will start around mid-February, and it will take you throughout the remaining duration of 2024, so through December. So what is that, roughly 10 months or so? There are some designated breaks in between then, but you would have ample notice of the schedule and the agenda as far as the timeline goes to ensure uniformity with your BNLP admin team, your fellows, and your employers if you are employed professionally. What was the second question in there? I know I saw something about, was there a cost? There's no cost associated with participating in BNLP, with the exception of your time. And I say with the exception of your time because it is very time consuming. So just want to put an emphasis on that. It's definitely a time commitment.
So I would just add in there that even though there's no cost, the exciting part is that this is a fellowship or leadership development with intensive training with phenomenal instructors that you're getting for absolutely free in terms of monetary cost, while there are various fellowships that actually do charge a fee. And you will, at the end of the program, get a certificate from Johns Hopkins. And that is something you can actually add to your resume. So great benefits that come out of this. And I want to reiterate what Daryl said. The cost for you is your time, and we want serious investment of your time. So it is not to be on a computer while in session and constantly looking at your cell phone and responding to that. It is, the expectation is that you stay focused for that one full day in session. Regarding how many cohort for each cohort year, that is very hard to determine, because what we're going by is by how many quality applications we have received that are deserving of being a part of our cohort. So that is what we are going by. So it is, so hopefully we will get a lot of great applications, and it will be very competitive, and we will select the numbers of fellows that we feel are are great candidates for BNLP. Now, if we're overwhelmed, we may have to figure out how to manage the cost. But right now, the main factor, and always has been, the quality of applicants. Does that fully answer your question, Angie?
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I did hear that the class, it will be held on Fridays. I think I heard 9 to 4. Is that hybrid, virtual? How does that work? Because I do work full time, and I was just wondering how I would manage that. And I do hybrid at work, so I mean, I can definitely move things around. I was just wondering, do we have to be in the building, or is it a virtual option?
It's definitely in the building. We did virtual during COVID time, but we have shifted back to being fully in person. And folks that completed the in-person sessions pre-COVID will tell you the great benefits involved in being in person. You cannot substitute in-person training with a hybrid or a Zoom trainings, and the quality of relationship amongst the peers is greater when you actually are in this in-person training. So please, let's make it clear to everyone, because we've had people that applied thinking that it was virtual, and just to save your time, it is not virtual, it's in person. And if you're employed, you would need to have your employer sign on to commit to have you out for that 2 days per month. And if you're running your business, then it would be your board's chair that would sign off. A serious investment, we're paying money. So we want to make sure that the employers or your board are approving your time off for this serious work. Renee, you got your hand up.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi. Thank you all for
Okay,
taking the time to give us a little insight on this program. I'm just curious to know how long the program has been around and what was the inspiration.
So it started in 2016 with planning, and we accepted our first cohort in 2017. The whole purpose of establishing the Bunting Neighborhood Leadership Program is to address an identified need, which was that there were not leadership programs that focus on emerging community leaders. There are so many opportunities of executive directors, but not the full range of leaders that make up the community servants that we saw. So we're focusing our fellowship on emerging leaders and building their knowledge, skills, and networks and resources to be more impactful in the work that they do in the communities, while at the same time, nurturing their personal development, not just their professional development, and assisting them in the outcome of impacting their communities.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Good. Glad you think so.
All right.
Anybody
And we
else?
still,
London, Tanella, Alanya, Pense, Diane, Dana, Nev, questions?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to comment, because the question I had was previously asked and answered. I just want to say thank you for providing insight. It's always good to actually hear from individuals that have gone through the program to articulate their experience, because it puts it, kind of in perspective when you're reading something and you're thinking, oh, that sounds great, but to really actually hear what some of the challenges may have been and what some of the experiences are from everyday, individuals, because we all, of course, have busy lives, and to think, okay, can I factor this in? Will I be able to successfully do this and be committed to it for a full 10 months? So just being able to hear from you all really, allowed me to, wrap my brain around to say, oh, okay, this is something that even though I have, heavy shoulders and I've got, I'm shouldering a lot of responsibility, I think that this is certainly something that is necessary and needed. And certainly I would be able to factor it into what I'm doing. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the honesty because again, as I said before, it allows us to see ourselves, being able to be a part of the program and what potentially would be an issue. The other part that I appreciate is about the application. I know for myself, I'm like, oh, it's an application. I know what to say. I know what I need to do. I have my, CV. I can just upload this and be done with it and move on. So I'm grateful that you all also shared to start on it now, to read through the questions and look at what's necessary and needed as far as a video and things of that nature. So I appreciate you sharing to not wait until the week that it's due, because I would be one of those individuals that would do that.
Well, that's good to hear. And one thing I want to emphasize is that it is not, one thing, it's not about investing in us, it's investing in you. So look at it in terms of all this hard work that goes into being a BNLP fellow is actually for you. So look very carefully at yourself and your stage of development right now in your career and your personal life and say, am I ready to invest this much time in me? So I just really want to change the conversation from investing my time in BNLP to investing my time in me for this very important work. So I'm just saying that collectively for everyone. So thank you for all the points that you shared, Denali. I very much appreciate it. Pansy, I'm going to go through everyone, just give you an opportunity to either ask questions or comment.
Yes.
Pansy? Yes.
Yeah, so I'm curious, and I'll piggyback and also give my thanks and gratitude for all of the information that the past fellows have shared. But I do have a question. What are just some examples of some of the classes that we would be learning?
Helped me a lot.
Or taking?
So let me just share with you what the modules are. So we start with really taking care of yourself, looking at yourself. So our first module is knowing thyself. And we decided to create that module. We had one session on Myers-Briggs, and it led to so many conversation and extended discussion over several days. And people are identifying like, wow, this is really phenomenal. I did not know X, Y, and Z about me, about how I share my feelings or how I do judgment, how I go about my life actually influences how I work with others in my professional life. So we ended up really extending that piece and creating a piece that calls knowing thyself. Then we have the next module is orientation to leadership. Then we have deconstructing racism. So this issue about racism is just not confined to this specific module, but it's weaved throughout. And health equity is also weaved throughout, but still we want to have a concentrated focus on deconstructing racism. And in fact, we have an intensive weekend retreat on unconscious bias. And we have policy and advocacy module, we have communications module, and we have a systems management module. So those are the modules. And there are, for some modules are short, they actually have like 3 sessions. Some modules are 5 sessions long. So most of them actually run about 3 or 4 sessions. And then we can drill down. We used to have on our website the modules and descriptions, and fortunately it's not on, but we can share that with you. I hope that gives you a little bit of sense of what we cover in a full year.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, very good. All right, let me see. Tanella Williams, question, comment?
Yes, it's Tanel. I really don't have any questions or comments because pretty much everybody said kind of what I needed to hear. Again, this is I just learned about BNLP, so I'm just trying to, just get the feel of everything and just seeing how everything will work for me. But all is well. No questions, no worries. So I'm just looking forward to start the application and moving forward on that. Thank you.
Okay, very good. London?
Hi, I don't have any questions. I do have a few comments. One, I appreciate everyone's transparency and sharing what the fellowship is like, and what they were able to take away from it, but also how they were able to grow and learn and kind of, become something else in that space in terms of networking and just, again, knowing thyself. So I appreciate that. And I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to go through the application process and see what that's like, and hopefully join the fellowship. So I don't have any questions.
Okay, very good. Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Diana?
Hold on.
Okay. We can come back to you, Diana. No rush. Nev Hale?
Oh, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, go ahead, Diana.
I was okay. I really don't have, well, one question that I do have, and I hate to ask this because I was just coming on, I was late. And one of the things that I hate when people ask questions and it's already been answered 50,000 times. That's why I hate going to the doctors. But anyway, the question I wanted to ask was what this particular organization or this, what do you hope to achieve? That's my question.
What do we hope to achieve is built the knowledge, skills, networks, and resources of emerging leaders so that they are more impactful in the communities that they serve. So that is what we hope to impact your personal and professional development so that you in turn would be more effective in how you serve the communities that you work in. So that is the motivation. That is the purpose for this work. And if part of your personal and professional development speaks to that, then we want to see you as part of the Bunting Neighborhood Leadership Fellowship.
So how have you measured that in the past to see if you achieved your goal? How is that measured?
You know what? Let me leave it up to a couple of the BNLP fellows to share that.
Yep, I can jump right in. So it's funny because that was actually something that I was reflecting on personally recently. From being a past BNLP fellow to being a part of the team now, like looking at the sustained impact that the program has had. And when I think about, Rep mentioned it a couple of times, BNLP dates back to 2016. So it's only about 7 years. So it's still relatively fresh. So when I think long-term, 10 years from now, how we can look back and say, hey, this thing started in 2016. And if you have on average over those years, 12 to 15 cohort members, you multiply that by X amount of years, you have then, equipped 100 plus or whatever that number is of emerging leaders in Baltimore to have the capacity to, have those tools that they had existingly be amplified, and then to spread that to, I think Justin might have alluded to this earlier, people who aren't even directly affiliated with BNLP. So it's really the impact that we have throughout Baltimore City and surrounding counties from the lens of being emerging leaders, but also in our respective works on the ground level with community organizing or policy. So really making that sustainable change. So really thinking long-term about this.
We actually have a brochure. We actually have a brochure about a follow-up that we've done with BNLP fellows and their experiences in terms of how they've developed as a result of being engaged in BNLP on a personal level and professional level, and the impact that they're making in the community. We conduct we conduct assessment following every module to assess how much knowledge the fellows gained, how much networking opportunities that they have had, and and then what are the gaps that continue to exist that they want further assistance on. So that is something that we do every module. We also do a pre and post assessment. So assessment at the beginning of the year, how much do you know about each of these areas that I mentioned that's covered under that makes up the various modules? And at the end, reflecting on how much have you grown in those areas in terms of knowledge, skills, and networks. So that is how we capture the development of the fellows. We also hired an outside evaluator to do in-depth analysis using key informant interviews, and also going through various surveys with the fellows and also with the instructors, because the instructors are also impacted as a result of being involved in this work. So a lot is involved to measure the impact in so many ways.
Okay, so we are, so you're talking about those persons that have actually gone through the program, and you're saying that you keep track of them. How have they applied what they've learned, or what are some of the successes that they've had because they've gone through your program? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we measure that in various ways. Exactly. And even this year, we actually contacted all the fellows in preparation for our BNLP application to find out what are they doing, and are they still working in Baltimore, still impacting, working in communities in Baltimore, and still doing community service in Baltimore, and how many of them are volunteering or just doing professional work in the nonprofit world. We remain engaged, with the exception of just a few fellows. We really have a relationship with most of the fellows from 2017 to now. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And it might the case study might be still posted on UHI website, but if not, then we can share that with you, where we tracked BNLP fellows and did case studies on their development and impact in the communities. But thank you for that good question. All right, who else do we not call on to comment and close out this discussion? I think let me see, there was one person that I think he dropped off. Okay, I think everybody else I had a chance to share. Anyway, please do not hesitate if you have any questions to contact us via phone and email. Or Pansy, did that get you to comment? I'm sorry, did I forget?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks again.
Okay, very good.
May I ask? This is London. You may have already covered this, but could you confirm the location of the cohort? Is it in the East Baltimore campus?
Yes, East Baltimore campus on Wolf and Monument Street. Yes, the School of Public Health.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, thank you. Fantastic job, Daryl. And thank you, Justin and Elise. And thank you, Lydia, for your help. And most importantly, thank you to all of you that have tuned in on a Saturday to chat with us. We will have one more session on November 29th. And please do not hesitate. If you want to come back again, you can. You can do that. And we post this conversation on our Urban Health Institute website, as well as the info session that we had a few weeks ago. So you are welcome to look through what we discussed, and do not ever hesitate to contact us with any questions. Thank you all, and have a fabulous weekend.
Yes, blessings. Thank you.
Good seeing you. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah.